What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of 4th and 15 with Mel and Smooth. I am Mel, and joining me as always is Ronnie, Big Smooth Hennigan. Smooth, what's up, man?
Not a whole lot, Mel, man. It's been a crazy week. A lot of up and down emotion with, well, I'll say everybody else in the house, not me. But it is what it is, man. Another week upon us. I'm ready for it. What about you,
Uh, Outside of it being hotter than the devil's underwear right about now, I'm good.
man? I don't want to be nowhere near his nutsack. Let me tell you that.
Hey,
I'm
it's
cool.
hot as month, man. I tell you right now, man.
Man,
Uh, Before we get started, as always, we got to do a shout out. Box bands. If you want to get yourself get in shape, strength through resistance. Resistance is key. Hit up with box bands. Um, we do got to send a shout out to our new sponsor, um, Kofifi for me. It's a great line of coffee. Actually, we got some in the house. It's actually pretty good. Um, don't ask me where the name came from. Just know it's he got. Just know he got it from the 45 from 45 on the tweet,
hey,
but
it's all
it
good.
worked for him. So but it is very good coffee from around the world, literally. You
Hmm.
know, and I'm a coffee drinker, so that just adds to the flair of it. And one more thing that we have to do. Well, last night, locally here in Elyria, Mega Championship Wrestling came back in action. For the crowd, they had a doubleheader event, and their
Nice.
new champion was crowned. The new Mega Champion was crowned, and Trey Miguel. So shout out to Trey Miguel being the new Mega Championship Wrestling champion. We wish him the best in his success in his future. It was an awesome match. I had to say that. Him and Derek Dillinger, who tried to use some dirty tactics, man. It was
Oh man.
almost it wasn't Eddie Guerrero like, but it was almost it was more along Chavo's lines. It wasn't Eddie's, but it was more along Chavo's. But thankfully the right guy got the belt, so we're happy about that. Shout out to Trey Miguel again. We will be following you on here on the 216 Sports Network. All right. With that being said, uh, I wanted to hit this topic first because we had talked about it right before the season started,
Hmm.
and it's looking like some things may happen. And with baseball now,
Mm.
uh, as of right now, because we had to talk about the Indians, and my thing was the Indians. On paper, it didn't look good. It looked
It
like
didn't.
that. It looked like that World Series year after season, that World Series hangover, where they
Hmm.
were going to stink up the joint. The team is gutted. Uh, just bad shit all the way around. Now here it is, almost All Star break, and we look. There are 3 games. There are 2 games actually. 2 games out of first place. They're second behind the White Sox at 41 and 33. The White Sox are 44 and 32. I'm and I did say this a couple shows back. I wanted to wait till the All Star break to see, you know, where the Indians would line up. I said if they were at least in third place, they had a shot. By the time All Star break rolled around, they had a shot if they were in third place. Here they are in second, and that's just in the Central standings. Um, if I could pull it up, I want to see where they are as far as the wild card is, and they're actually in third place out of the wild card.
Wow.
So this is it's shaping up to be how I predicted it, but I don't want to say I told you so until we get a definitive lineup. Like this lineup's been switched out a couple times.
A
The
lot.
pitching
Yeah.
staff, the pitching staff is in disarray. If I'm not mistaken, we just had an injury today. Who was that got carted off?
So I actually wanted to talk about that too. So this is great. So it was offensive. It was the outfielder Josh Naylor, right? So
Mm.
The thing about Naylor is it's his first season with us. He's a decent player, obviously. He had a collision with the rookie, so the rookie second baseman ran into him, Ernie Clement. And what
Mm.
happened is he broke something. They said he got carted off the field, and Francona wouldn't give too much detail, but they're
Yeah,
saying
you
it
know
could
he's
be
not
an
going to do
ankle.
that.
So the source said it could be an ankle. Um, so I'm hoping it's not like on the same level of what Dak went through, but based off of what happened, how he looked when he was rolling around on the ground, him getting carted off, it's not certain as to whether he'll be back at all this season, which is a huge blow. So I'm hoping that, they have a backup plan for it, obviously. But yeah, it was Josh Naylor, man. And he was actually doing pretty well. Had a decent amount of RBIs, was definitely doing his thing
Hey, Smooth, you're
defensively.
breaking up on my end.
Oh, am I? Oh, am I? Are you good now?
Yeah, just a little bit.
All right,
Yeah,
cool.
I'm good.
But Naylor, man, he was doing pretty well and was really good for the Indians defensively as well. So it's just hard to see a blow like this happen. And then to see like what happened with, the Indians in general this year. McKenzie, unfortunately is having a down year. He's been back and forth from, AAA ball. I think he's there now. And they brought in, a couple of other pitchers and guys that I haven't even heard of yet. So Sam Hentges, I believe his name was the guy that was filling in for him. Um, so it's just a matter of like you said, the rotation happening and people trying to get used to certain spots, or Francona just doing his thing because Francona is a great manager, but it's just so many moving parts. That's unusual for the Indians during this time of the year. So we'll see what happens, man. But it was Josh Naylor. That's who got hurt.
Yeah, I'll say this. Even with, McKenzie, who I was really pulling for, and I'm still pulling
Me
for,
too. Me
even with
too.
even with him having a down year, I don't think that I don't think it's that he's having a down year. I think that him being so young, I think these veteran batters figured him out. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. That just means,
Right.
the young guys usually get figured out. Some of them come in here with only two really good pitches, fastball, curveball, or fastball slider. And I think that, you know, him coming in relief does a lot better. I'm not
Yeah.
Tito by any stretch of the imagination, but I do think that when he comes off the bench or comes out of the bullpen, I think that helps the Indians because, you know, as a batter, when you see that guy for two, three, three at bats, you know, during the course of a game, you
Hmm.
kind of know what's coming.
True.
And I do think that his time in AAA will help. And I think once AAA, gets him to work on his mechanics and work on a little bit of that control issue that he was having, he'll be all right. I think he'll be all right. And then I think whenever Bieber is healthy, and Aaron Savali
Right.
is healthy, I think that this rotation will be back to where it's tops in the majors. So I'm not counting the Indians out. I think that the Indians have a very good. I think that at two games behind, I think the Indians have a very good chance to actually catch the White Sox. And if
Yeah.
they catch them, that could like that could turn a lot of things around. And
I
I
agree with that.
believe
Um,
I just believe
no.
if, if there's a chance that they catch Chicago, this could turn
Mhm.
into something really, really big and create a lot of chaos coming forward in in the playoff picture.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. I mean, you figure with this team and what they've done, in the off season to make adjustments. I know there wasn't a whole lot going on at first. We were kind of looking at what they had in terms of like their lineup, and I know we had a big discussion about okay, the pitching was there, but the bats weren't necessarily there. A lot of their power guys or guys that we felt were going to take them into the postseason weren't there anymore. You had some vets that definitely, average about, let's say, just under triple digit RBIs with maybe 25 homers and stuff like that. But just kind of was uncertain as to what that would look like with this division up and coming. But right now, being 2 games out, of course, the Indians dropped two in a row to the Twins. Chicago lost two in a row as well. So, had we beat the Twins twice, then that puts us up there. But that time frame is still able for us to make happen. They're 41 and 33, so there's plenty of baseball left over. So, like you said, man, right before the All Star break, they're above 500, 2 games behind Chicago. And we could definitely see this thing turn around still, or them at least get in first place of the division. So I'm excited for it, man. I'm glad it's working out the way that it is because, like we had earlier this year and talking about it, I just wasn't sure, based off what we saw on paper. But that's just the difference between having, good management and not. Frank Cono's a
Yeah, it
management
is.
guy.
He is, and that's why I was nervous, but I wasn't like, "Oh, that's it. That's it." You know,
Hmm.
cancel the season. I just felt like there was some uncertainty, especially with us using losing Yasiel Puig, Rajay Davis. And don't get me wrong, Ramirez has shown up and shown out. He's shown he's been the leader on the field,
For
and I'm
sure.
happy. I'm happy about that. But at the same time, somebody else has got to step up.
Yeah.
Somebody else has to step up with him. And if they don't, then he's going to be carrying the team. I'm not saying he can't handle that, but I don't think he wants
Hmm.
that responsibility. I think he just wants to go out and play. So that
True.
way, with him being more relaxed, it helps the team. Whatever the
Right.
case
Right.
is, I think Tito's got the team as bad as it looked on paper. It looks even better on the field. The on-field product has been amazing. They're
True.
what 7, 8, 9 games in over 500 in
Hmm.
second place. This works, and I'm glad it works because now we have a chance to see second half of the season after the All Star break. Will this work? And can the team bounce back from injuries?
Yeah, I think they'll be fine. I really do. I can definitely say that I was proven wrong because I, for sure, at the beginning was like a huge naysayer just based off of what I saw and what was lost. And sometimes, man, you just gotta have faith in like the pitching rotation that you have because it wasn't that bad, and then just the management in general. Francona is one of those guys, like I said before, who just gets it done. And for him to be faced with this type of challenge, I felt like was something I hadn't seen him deal with yet. But it's good to see that he's made those adjustments, and it's only proven that we had the right guy. Had it been a different manager, I don't know if we'd be seeing this, to be honest.
Very true. I don't even think Hargrove could have pulled this off, and I love Mike
No,
too.
not with this. Yeah, I
I
like
love
Mike
Mike to
too.
the death.
Mm,
Okay, moving on. Um, we're going to touch what we all been waiting on, which is the NFL, and we're still waiting on it. But we are going to talk about the NFC East and the NFC North divisions because last time we talked about the AFC, we wrapped up on who we thought was going to take it, who we thought would end up in the playoffs. So now we get to look at the NFC side. And first, we're going to take a look at the black and blue division, which is the NFC East. Last year, this division was terrible, just god awful. And Washington ended up taking it at 7-9.
hmm.
I'm had quarterback issues, sucked at home. They were halfway decent on the road. Uh, Ironically, they were tied in the division with the Giants, but by mathematics and records, the Giants were eliminated. So going forward into this season, what do you see as far as this division is concerned?
With this division, I do expect, overall there to be a few more wins for sure. What I've seen so far too is that, looking at the different conferences that, not conferences, but different divisions that they have to face in total, they've been poised with the task of going up against the AFC West. So with that, that kind of, I want to say, not even things out, but it does make it interesting because with a team like Washington is up and coming, and then of course, Dallas is getting their quarterback back, and then the Giants getting back, Saquon Barkley, and then Philly, is just another young team that's trying to figure some stuff out. It's just interesting to see, like, when you throw a division in there, like the AFC West, what that can do to turn the table a little bit. Washington, I think, has a very scary defense. I'm actually excited to see what they do on that side of the ball. There's been talks about what they can do offensively, which, is something that we'll have to see, obviously. And that's the team that has Fitzpatrick now, right?
I believe so.
Because that definitely makes a huge difference, having him out there. Because anywhere he goes, man, he just kind of does his thing. It's just weird. Like, he's one of those guys that just travels around, and then after about 3 games, like, he's playing as though he's been in that offense for years. And it's just something that is hard to coach. You just can't coach it, really. I mean, it's just one of those guys that does that. And I feel like with their offense up and coming, and then the receivers that they have, here's a guy that can definitely extend that play a little bit, get you the ball, especially those deep guys, because his deep ball is still pretty good. And then also
Very
you
good.
figure, um, just defensively, man, the pass rush is going to be something that they want to look out for in the NFC East this year, man. Chase Young is captain in that team, man, on the defensive side of the ball. It's just awesome to see. I'm really excited for them. I felt like looking at this division, I had them taking it, still, but not in the way it happened last year. Not like by default them taking it, but like them actually taking it this time. And I had them slated to win it with, like 11 wins this year, only because of like the matchup they had with the NFC South.
Right.
That's another thing. NFC South is mixed in there with them as well. Not all 4 teams, but like 2 or 3. So you figure, with Breeze retiring, the Falcons are all jacked up or whatever, and then you got, the Panthers mixed in there a little bit with a couple of the teams in the division. So it's gonna be really exciting to see what they do, man. I feel like that's what makes the difference is some of those games that are in both the AFC West and the NFC South is what kind of boosts Washington up a little bit more. But I feel like it boosts the whole division up. Having those key pieces that were missing and coming back now, like, do I think the Giants are going to all of a sudden be like this 10-win team? I don't see that happening this season. But they're going to be better than they were last year. Definitely, I can see that. But you figure when you have to go up against Washington twice, and you also have an improved, Cowboys team as well twice, that just kind of knocks you down. Like, maybe they only get 2-2 out of that. Maybe they get, 1-3 out of that. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of where I'm at with this division. I feel like Washington's going to take it again, but not by default because they can.
You know what? I This probably be one of the few times we disagree,
Cool.
and I'm really
Please.
disagreeing because I think Dallas coming into this season, I think Dallas will be on a warpath. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
why. I just got this feeling that Dallas is really going to be on a warpath this year. Dak's getting his money back. He's coming off of an
Mm-hmm.
injury that was almost career ending. Uh, he'll probably get in Zeke's ear and tell him he's got to get back to where he was a couple years ago and stop
Mm-hmm.
being fat.
Sure.
And they still have a defense. Don't get me wrong. Don't like I want everybody to understand. Don't let it fool you. They still have a defense in Dallas. The offense is what killed them.
That's very true.
And I think with Dak back, with Zeke back, that helps. They will always find receivers. Dallas has never been short of receivers.
True.
From T.O. to Dez Bryant to Amari Cooper. They just never have a problem finding that big receiver or any receiver for that matter. So I think once once we see physically
Hmm.
see that Dak's okay, Dak can move around. We already know he's got the arm strength, but the arm's not going anywhere anytime soon. I just feel like between Dallas and between Washington, there's going to be a struggle for power, and I
Yeah,
think those that second half of the season, I think Dallas is going to surge. I don't know. It could be just me looking at some of these Cowboy games last year and the games that they should have won, like the game
hmm,
against Cleveland, the first Washington game they should have won,
yeah.
uh, the games against Philly and New York. I think these games now become wins in their mind. Now, will it play out like that? Probably not. But I really feel like you know Dallas. Dallas is looking for blood this year, and I think they might start it off. Yes, that whole division got a problem seeing Kansas City at least one. I think what they got to see the AFC, the whole entire division, right?
The whole AFC
Okay,
West, yeah, man. They got all see
okay,
Kansas City,
so
all of
so all of them got to see Kansas City. So you got a problem there. But outside of that, you got the Raiders, you got the Chiefs, you got the Raiders, the Chargers, and the Broncos.
them.
Those are very winnable games on Dallas's schedule. And I know for a fact at least two of those have to be in Jerry's world. And
Let's see. I
people
got you
fail
right
to
now.
people fail to realize
Broncos
the Bronco. Okay, there you
and the
go. That's one.
Raiders.
Uh, I I didn't want it to play out that way, but okay. Well, those are two winnable games at home,
Hmm.
and Jerry's World ain't an easy place to play. You may think it is, but it's really not. It's a loud crowd. The crowd is actually closer to you than most stadiums, and it's Dallas. It's I'm not gonna call them America's team, but it is Dallas. I'm really thinking end of the season or second half of the season, we'll see how this will play out. But I really think Dallas might take this division by at least two games.
2 games. Okay. No, that's cool, man. Because thing is with them, I had them right there with Washington, like 1 game, difference. And for me, I feel like with the schedules and all too, it's gonna say a lot if you know they can pull off that win against the Buccaneers game 1. Because you got Dallas playing the Buccaneers first game. They're playing that game. It's going to be in Tampa Bay, so that'll be interesting to
You could
see if
chalk that
they
as a
make that.
loss.
And then the difference too is Washington doesn't have to see the Bucks till midseason, and then of course that last half of the season is where a lot of these division games are going to happen between them because you have what is it? Washington plays Dallas 2 out of the last 5 games of the season. Then you also mix in the Giants and then also the Eagles. So they have 4 divisional games out of 6, the last 6. So a lot's going to happen those last 6 games for all these teams where you're rotating them in. You're saying, okay, it looks like the majority of your games that's not in the division are going to be early in the early part of the season. They're going to push most of that to the end. So it's going to create a very interesting, playoff race. I feel like too. So I'm looking forward to that.
Rio, this Dallas is not America's team. Stop it. It's not. It's not anymore. Not anymore. 25 years ago, maybe, but now not so much. But I'll give you that. Shout out to Rio.
Yeah,
Um,
man.
I really just feel like, man, it's Dallas's division this year. Like Washington snuck out, they snuck by, got
Hmm.
one more win better than Dallas and New York. Philly was left
True.
beat up and by the wayside. I just feel like Dallas might have a chance with this one.
And you know what?
All right.
That's to be seen. I feel like
Yeah.
those teams too. Yeah, I think at the end of the day, we both can agree that it's one of them two. I don't see it being the Giants or the Eagles by far. That's not happening. Not this
The
year.
Giants,
Um,
if the Giants can get we know Saquon's coming back, but we don't know what Saquon's gonna look like coming back. That's the
Yep,
thing.
that's another thing. Yeah.
That's my issue with the Giants. If Saquon was coming back, and mind you, people, this is an ACL injury.
Hmm.
This is before 1988, give or take, medically. This was a career-ending injury. You weren't coming back from this, and most times, if you tore your ACL, you was going to turn to some other sport that didn't have much to do with running or kicking or that much physical labor.
Right.
So you know ACL surgery technology has come a long way, but you still have to look at the position, which is the first
Hmm.
part. You have to take into fact the longevity of that said position. Running backs don't last that long in the NFL traditionally. 10 years and that's it. Now, lately, these guys have become freaks of nature within the last 30 years, and they blow out a knee, come back twice as strong, blow out a knee, come back and kill somebody. It's just how the position has grown. But every player is different. And with Saquon Barkley, he has had some minor knee injuries in college. He's had some minor leg injuries, period, and
Hmm.
he's bounced back. But this is an NFL injury. So I need to see what he looks like in the preseason, if he even plays in the preseason, before
True.
we can say we can throw the Giants in this race. And I'm not counting for because I know my sister's she gonna say something about this at some point. She's a Giants fan. So I know at some point we gotta we gotta say, okay, the Giants look good. And they did. But at the same time, with no running back at behind Saquon that could help keep pace or carry the load, it kind of put them on a hindered or a bad wheel. Kind of put them on a bad wheel. That truck was moving. Saquon gets
True.
hurt, now you got a problem because you don't have a reliable backup that can carry the load like Saquon could.
Hmm.
If by midseason the Giants are in the race, it'll be a three-way tie. It's between one of those three. But right now, I got Dallas, and I got the Redskins. But I'm taking Dallas to win the division.
Cool.
Okay, moving on from them, we move to the North,
Cool.
and
I'm
it's been a
excited.
big it's been a big off-season shitstorm up there with the NFC North. Aaron Rodgers, apparently they shitting his Cheerios, and he's been pissed off at Green Bay Packers ever since.
Uh,
Defending, but they will be coming into the season defending division champs. Right
hmm.
behind them was Chicago at 8-8. The Vikings weren't bad, but defensively they they just couldn't hold on. And then at the back of that pack, we got the lowly Lions. I'm gonna be honest with you right now. Let's just call it and throw it where it is. It's hard to count the Lions into this one. It's hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, you
I
got
did.
Jared Goff. Yeah, you got Jared Goff, younger.
Hmm.
He's not a bad quarterback. He did what he could in the playoffs, even though he had a broke thumb. But with that team around him, it's hard. It's hard. I'm sorry. I got nothing for them. For the Lions, I got nothing.
And you know what? Speaking of them, man, he was praising them too today. He was like, the coaches are giving me so much, uh, decision making ability and blah blah blah. And I'm like, yeah, because it's you and on the Lions. Like you gonna have a lot to say so. Um, Especially based off of like, I get the fact that he wasn't able to, unfortunately bring in that title. But at the same time, like you got further than the Lions have been forever.
Yeah,
So you coming in to this team, yeah, you have the experience to where you were at. Of course, yes, you had some guys around you, stuff like that, but I mean, you were still there. And they're gonna definitely look at you and go, "Oh, we got Jared Goff. We've been to the top of the AFC before." Blah, blah, blah. And also comes with it. You know what I'm saying? So when I saw that report, I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah." good for you, buddy. I hope it works out. You know what I'm saying? But
It,
it don't
it's
look that
hard.
pretty right now, man. It don't.
It's gonna be hard pressed, bro. You're gonna
Oh
be
my
hard pressed to
goodness.
try to find a win.
Yeah, man. It's just I had him getting. What did I give him? I was nice, man. I gave him 5-12,
I
man. five
wasn't
and
giving
twelve.
them that. I honestly, I can't give them that. Yeah, I don't
I mean,
know
I
the
had to
running
start with a
back.
5 game losing streak, but I had gave him 5 wins.
I don't even give him that. I give him three.
Ooh,
I'm just,
okay.
I'm
I gotta
just
hear
being
this.
honest.
All right, go
Okay,
ahead, man. Let me hear
look
this.
at the reality of this, man.
Okay.
Who? Let's just walk with me through this scenario. Who's the starting Lions running back? Don't worry, I'll wait.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look
Okay,
that
we'll,
one
we'll
up to be honest with you,
yeah.
because
Don't even look it up. You ain't even got to look it up. For every question you don't answer, we're gonna move on. So
okay,
you don't know who the starting running back is.
no
Do
idea.
you know? Do you have any idea who any of the starting receivers are?
Is what's that dude's name? No, he's not there anymore. Nope, I don't.
Okay. On
I
top
don't.
of that, on top of that, I give you how many points did the Lions allow last year?
Man, I think they averaged like 30 a game. They was giving up. To be honest with
Okay, in the course of the entire season, they gave up 519 points,
you. Oof,
which
oof.
I believe, if research serves me right,
Mm,
that was tops in the league last year. They led the league in points against.
oof.
And you honestly gave them two more wins to be better. I'm not buying it. I'm not. And
Wow.
it's nothing against you. I know your knowledge of the game, but with reality just sitting in front of us like that,
Mm-hmm.
you gave up more points than you scored. You led the league in total points against. Your point differential was a negative 142, and you dropped your last four to end the season. I'm not buying it. I'm giving them 3-17, bro, or 3-16, or,
Three
or,
and
or three three and
14.
14. Yeah, I'm giving you three wins. Whatever the case is, I'm giving you three wins. That's it. That's all you get.
I would say, for me, I always like to play a devil's advocate with some stuff, and it's just funny because, like, with the schedule they have a pretty intense, schedule, and part of that is they got to play 4 AFC North teams uh, this season, so
That's,
that's going
that's
to be
three
rough on this
loss.
division anyway.
That's three
That's
losses.
three
If
losses for sure.
if nothing else, if
That's three.
everything plays right, it might be four because you fuck around and lose to the Bengals and look stupid.
And see, the only reason why I had that as a possible win is because they're in Detroit for that game. Had they gone to Cincinnati, that's a loss.
It doesn't matter. They
Uh,
both stink right now. They both stink. But if I had to choose, I'm giving the game to Cincinnati. I don't see why they can't beat Detroit. It's There's no defense in Detroit. We don't know because if we had to look it up, but I'm not going to.
mhm.
Off the top of our heads, we don't know who's running back to help him. We don't know the starting receivers.
Oh, it's just what's the name? Who they draft? DeAndre Swift is there. That's it.
He ain't AJ Green, so he has no help offensively or defensively. So 3 wins is all I'm giving Detroit at the moment. If it changes during the preseason, we'll talk about it then. But right now, 3 wins. They sucked at home. They were terrible in the division. They were decent on the road. I don't know how that happened, but
I don't either.
you got to win at home and then you have to win in your division. They did neither. And then in the entire conference, you stunk. I I'm moving on. Me personally, I'm moving on. That's it's Detroit. You thought you got a younger quarterback, yeah, but that doesn't do anything for the rest of the team.
True. And you got to be able to throw to somebody.
Yeah. Uh, the Vikings. I I'm they were decent. They weren't decent. They were okay at home. They went 3-5 at home. They were four and
Hmm.
four on the road. They were 4-2 in the division, believe it or not, and then 5-7 in the entire conference. If they can get some real offensive line help, because
Yep.
it wasn't a bad spot, but it was a spot that needed attention. If they can get some real offensive line help, I think they'll be okay. I don't know if they'll win the division, but I believe they'll be in the thick of things. It's a lot of factors that we've already mentioned that work in their favor.
Hmm.
Outside of the Bears drafting Justin Fields, which I thought was a steal, uh, Aaron Rodgers may or may not return back to Green Bay. And that's really your kryptonite. It's been the Packers. So if Rodgers doesn't return, there's a question mark at quarterback for the Packers, which leaves a lot of things open if you're the Bears and the Vikings to say, hey, we could take this division. But
True.
I think that they need to get that offensive line, stronger. I'm not gonna say it was bad because it really wasn't bad, but as far as keeping Cousins upright long enough for him to make the throws he needs to make, he's got to be up right. That offensive line has got to be stronger, and everything else was decent. The defense was there, you
Yeah,
know,
defense definitely was there.
but when you have problems keeping up with the score from other teams, especially when you got to see Seattle, the Rams, you know, maybe the 49ers or the Cardinals, you gotta keep pace. And in some instances you weren't able to keep pace, especially in your own division. The Packers were your worst enemy. So
That's
uh, I just feel like if they get that offensive line stronger, that's a start. And they might be able to possibly secure that spot in the top of the division.
true. I mean, that was the biggest thing. Like outside of, like you said, Green Bay, the offensive line definitely needs to help because the defense was decent enough to, at least get them through. And then on top of that, you figure this year the biggest question mark is their receiving core because there's a lot of rookies, a lot of rookies. Because this year I believe they had drafted Justin Jefferson out of LSU, um, and then who's coming back is the question. I know Alexander Hollins was a rookie from last year, so there was that guy, and then you had like Kyle Rudolph, of course, who's been the main target at tight end, and like Tyler Conklin, but there's not a whole lot going on there. I know Dalvin Cook's been their main guy. It seemed like they now have Amir Abdullah back there. It's not enough for like a one-two punch, in my opinion, but he's big enough to be able to do some third down stuff and be able to do that kind of thing. But Dalvin Cook is just an X factor, man. But he can't do it by himself. He can't be that guy who's consistently putting up like a crazy amount of fantasy points and doing all this extra stuff out the backfield. You need that other guys on the offense to help him out.
Very
A
true.
lot of that came
Very
from that
true.
seat, from that offensive line is a prime example of what you're talking about. Him having to do as much receiving as he did last year is because of the offensive line. You're not going to go at Delvin Cook and be like, okay, let me hand you the ball 30 times. Like, you don't have that kind of line to hand it off 30 times to him. It's just not going to happen. You know what I'm saying?
That
You're going to have to be
that
creative with
and
that.
that and they, you know, he can only run so much. He got beat up at one point. He
Yep.
wasn't out for the season, but I believe he did miss a game or two because he
Hmm.
was so beat up.
Yeah, man.
Dalvin Cook's size wise, Dalvin Cook's body is not built for that. These running backs nowadays, their bodies aren't built like Christian Okoye's or the bus or even Mike Allstats for that matter. They're slimmer,
Hmm.
they're more lean, you know, there's no fat behind it, then that muscle's gonna bruise up. That muscle's gonna get hit. That muscle's gonna get hurt. So I agree with you on that. Something's got to give. Those receivers may have to step up early.
Yeah, seen that. And then, once again, it's just one of those situations where anytime you involve the way that the current AFC North looks like, and all of you have to play all four of those teams, it's just going to be a different look for you. Something you haven't seen in a while, especially the way that these teams are trending in that division. You figure like this year, prime example, for the Vikings, they play the Ravens away, so you got to play them at Baltimore. That's going to suck. Then you got to play um, the Bengals is an away game, the Steelers is a home game, the Browns is a home game. It's like okay, going into Baltimore, it's always kind of hard to play there, and then you figure this team is unproven right now, man, trying to figure out where they stand. It just doesn't look good for them. The secondary is decent. It's just like I don't know what they're going to do, man. It's a big question mark with that team right now. Like you said, Green Bay is their worst enemy right now. So
Is that
if
the entire
Aaron Rodgers isn't
division's
there
worse
anymore,
enemy?
well, yeah, but like you figure if he's out the picture, that changes a lot of this stuff for this division. I mean, it's kind of like where's Aaron Rodgers going to be? If he's in Green Bay, if he's not in Green Bay, if he's not in Green Bay, oh, buddy, it's totally different up there now. And then on top of that, if for some reason all these reports is coming out talking about him talking to Denver, it's been Denver, 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 Denver. Ain't nobody making any moves though, right?
Yeah, but
But if
why
it's
would Denver even be in that conversation? Is my
I don't
question. Like,
know. I have no idea. They keep popping up. I'm like, are y'all gonna do it or not? You're not looking like you're gonna do anything. You just brought Bridgewater over there. Like, I don't understand. All of a sudden, you want to just make this other move, and who you gonna trade? Who you gonna give up? Like, what does that even look like? I mean,
I,
you're going to let go of
I
like
was
Bradley
thinking that
Chubb
same. Yeah,
and some
I was
other
thinking
people
that
to even
same
get him.
thing. Can you even afford Aaron Rodgers with
You
you
can't.
know? And you're right. They did just bring over Bridgewater, which makes me question why would you bring him over if you were
Exactly,
why would you bring him over, put him under contract, and
bruh.
spend money on Bridgewater if you were just gonna bring Rodgers over or have the discussion? If that's how you really felt, excuse me, if that was how you really felt, you should have just said, "Fuck it, we don't need Bridgewater. We're going right after Rodgers."
Exactly. It's
And
a
if I'm
wasted
Aaron
move.
Rodgers, and if I'm Aaron Rodgers, I get it. You want to be somewhere fresh, no BS, decent organization. Denver ain't it.
It's not it at all.
And it
It's
and if
not.
some and if that said secret teammate who leaked that information was lying, I would slap the shit out of him for lying, but we don't know how concrete that was. Even with that, Denver wouldn't if I'm a quarterback. I know I'm not a quarterback. I suck at quarterback. But if I'm a quarterback, Denver is not anywhere near my discussion, not near my topic,
Exactly.
not near my thoughts, not near my ideas. If I go to sleep, I ain't dreaming about Denver.
Right. And so here's why I want to bring that up real quick. Because with Denver, right, there was talks before the draft. Then you make all these moves for Bridgewater and whatever else, man. And it's just like, okay, you obviously make it seem as though you don't care that you land Rodgers or not because you brought Bridgewater in. So now all of a sudden, for them to still be in the conversation and for them to be considered one of the six teams they was talking about that could be a potential landing spot, I was like, are you serious? Why are we still talking about Denver? And they keep popping up in my feed, bro. Like, I'm trying to avoid even looking at the name Denver Broncos right now because Aaron Rodgers' name keeps popping up along with them. It makes no sense. So here's the 16. I'm just gonna throw it out there, right? They said possibly Denver, which stupid. Not even gonna talk about them. Miami Dolphins, New Orleans Saints, Carolina Panthers, Philadelphia Eagles, Las Vegas Raiders.
I counted. You said 6 teams.
Six. Yep.
I know at least four of them got a quarterback or have a quarterback situation that they haven't even resolved yet. The Raiders still have Derek Carr, but it's no secret
Yep.
that it's no secret. Yes, they have Derek Carr, but it's no secret John Gruden has been not been high on him.
Yep.
Uh, Philly is still we're still trying to figure out what they're gonna do with Jared, Jalen Stubbs, or Jalen Hurts.
Mm-hmm.
My bad, Jalen
Yep.
Hurts
Jane Hurts.
and Carson Wentz. I know
Well,
Carolina.
Wentz is in
You're right. You're right. You're right.
Indianapolis.
Well, okay. Well, it's Jalen. So why would you draft
Mm-hmm.
Jalen? Jalen hasn't been on the field to show enough.
Exactly.
The only logical. We already mentioned Denver. Miami has a quarterback. They have Tua. I know people don't believe that Tua is a good quarterback, but if you really, he came out of the draft the most NFL ready quarterback. He just got hurt. Like the last few games of the season, he was hurt. I mean, what did you want from him? And you threw him in after Fitzpatrick was keeping the team afloat, which you didn't have to do.
Didn't have to do that at all. That's what cost him a
Like,
playoff spot.
that was my thing. You were right there. So why would you do that? That was dumb on Miami's part.
Yeah.
Uh, Regardless of that, Tua is that's Tua's team. I don't care what nobody says. Until I see different, until we all see different, that's Tua's team.
Mm-hmm.
The only logical team I could see that would be able to afford him if they really wanted to would be the Saints because Breeze isn't there no more. The defense is intact. The rest of the offense is intact. The only question marks you have is at quarterback with uh, Taysom Hill
Mm-hmm.
and Jameis.
Yeah.
And they told Jameis it was going to be his team, but then they switched it up and said, we're going to let Taysom see what he can do. Granted, Taysom's faster, arguably, probably
Oh
the
yeah.
fastest person, probably the fastest person on the team. But Taysom's faster. I've seen enough of his arm. I'm not sold on it, but I do
Right.
believe he could be a playmaker. Jameis was the only quarterback to ever hit the 30-30 club that I remember. But you also got to remember Jalen Hurts, not Jay, Jameis has also been a multi-time in his career. He's been a multi-time 3,000-yard passer. People forget that part.
True.
So I'm curious as to why there are teams on this list that have quarterbacks or quarterback situations, and there are that's 6 teams out of 32, and I know at least 20 of them are looking for a quarterback. Something ain't right here.
He's It's not right at all, man. And I feel like with what they got going on at this point, I just think he's going to end up still being in Green Bay, unless we see something crazy happen. Some teams start trading, but I just see him still in Green Bay. I don't think anybody can afford him right now or afford to give anyone up of the caliber that they need to give up to get him. I think that's another thing. Plus, the draft picks will have to give on top of that player. Nobody wants to give that up. So that's one
Yeah,
thing,
I was thinking that
you know.
same thing.
And
Like
then,
that's too much.
and it was
Just don't.
crazy is it's looking the same way it did. This reminds me of similar situation to like when Favre was trying to sit out of, preseason, trying to sit out of like OTAs and all the other stuff and just basically do his own thing until the season started. This is going to have that same feel, except the quarterback's a little bit younger than Favre was when he tried to pull that. And now I'm just like, okay, maybe you do have a, issue with Green Bay, right? That I'm not knocking at all. You probably do have an issue with Green Bay. He said he loves the players and the teammates and all that stuff. It's somebody, in the office or whatever they're doing. Okay, I get that. But at the same time, like, are you going to be ready when the season starts? You got some other pieces that's brand new to this offense. You kind of need to be there because you're the dude. I don't know. It just feels weird to me. And then they asked his homeboy, Devontae Adams, how he felt. He's like, look, regardless if he here or not, man, I'm gonna be ready. So that's kind of where he at. And I think the issue there is that's always been his, prime target since Nelson
Hey,
left.
you're right,
So
and I'm glad you said that because I don't think he said that. I think he said that on purpose
yeah,
because I think he felt what Aaron was trying to relay to them. I need help. It can't just be me and Devontae. It's got to be more than that. I
hmm
don't. I don't think he'll pull the Brett Favre. I don't think he's pulling the Brett Favre on purpose to do what he
not on
wants to
purpose,
do.
no. Yeah,
I think he's trying to send a message to the organization saying, "Look, we've been this close for too long. We just watched Tampa Bay run through everybody in the playoffs. Something got to give." And you can tell just by the play, Aaron's trying to win another one before it's time to hang him up. He's
absolutely.
actively trying to win another Super Bowl. It's been 11 years since he won his last Super Bowl.
That's
11.
crazy. That's a long stretch, buddy.
That's a long ass stretch.
Man,
Think about it.
with the
I'd have
same
had to
team too.
right. I'd have had to sit.
Oof.
How long did he sit behind Brett before Brett actually left? That was what, 4 years, five
Four
years?
years, 4.5, 5 years. Yeah.
So I sat 5 years behind Brett, who didn't want to help me, didn't want to give me no type of tips, advice, none of
Nope.
that. Then when
Nope.
I get here, I finally get us to the playoffs. They pull some bullshit. We lose the first round, the first game. I get to the playoffs again. We make it to the Super Bowl. We win the Super Bowl. What? And every time he's done something special, a piece of that team has been, you know, xed out. Like
Yep.
he's no longer playing with Jordy Nelson.
That was hard to
Uh,
watch.
yeah, that was heartbreaking. But he's Woodson was gone after that, a little bit after that, but he was hurt, so we can't be mad about that. And we all knew he was gonna retire a Raider anyway, so that I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah. We seen that coming, and then
Yeah,
Donald Driver
let's
retired, and
yeah, you lost your two biggest key components of your Super Bowl team within a matter of 4 years. Let's not pretend like he hasn't been the nice guy in this scenario. All right, you got rid of Jordy, Greg, Donald retired, Woodson retired. Now I got what's his boy name? Devontae. Now I got Devontae. I need more. I need more. The defense
yeah,
is
because
here. The defense is here, but everybody knew. We all knew. We were watching these playoff games. We all knew. Yeah, you had enough to beat the Rams, but at the same time,
hmm
you knew you were either going to see Tampa Bay or New Orleans.
yep,
We actively watched Tampa Bay run through New Orleans. We also saw that it was going to be a big ass discrepancy in the offseason. And the discrepancy was he needs help. It's not a secret. You can't rely on Devontae all the time because they're going to key in on him.
hmm
He can't run no more. I hate to say it that way, but he can't. So, you know, all he has is his arm, his knowledge, and maybe the luck of a quarterback, which is very lucky for him. He's been throwing passes like what's the name? And let's like I s- and before I go any further, looking at this now,
hmm
they ran through the Rams. in the playoffs, and it was not like they got run through by the Bucks. The Bucks had a tough time, and the problem came when they couldn't run the ball on Tampa Bay.
Yep.
They only got Jones only got 27 yards. Well, actually, no, I take that
Yeah.
back. Yeah, in the conference championship, Jones only got 27 yards. He threw for 346. You can't run the ball. You're relying too much on the pass. Now, let's think about this. And let's think about that game and how it plays out if he has a running back.
Exactly, man. Having that much pressure or that much of a workload on Jones was a lot. And the
Hmm.
thing is, he's not built for that. He's not like this big, every down type of back. I mean, he's got some talent, but like, bruh, man, the workload they put on him and to not be able to have like a decent enough rotation in the backfield to help them out, and once again, only having pretty much Devontae to rely on, just said a lot. You know what I'm saying? And when you get to that point where you're playing some of those teams like Tampa Bay or even New Orleans last year, that's not enough. It's not
Yeah,
enough. Like it's
and
enough to coach you through like a middle of the road division,
and to
but
be fair, and to your point, to be fair, they did bounce back from that first loss against Tampa Bay at Tampa Bay
hmm
in Week 6 of last season. You
yeah,
know, they only scored 10 in that game. Rodgers threw for 160 yards. Williams only had 34 rushing, and Devontae Adams only had 61 on the receiving end. So they bounced back from that. But when it came time to run the ball, it was non-existent. And if, to my knowledge, and to your knowledge, Tampa Bay's defense is coming back next year. The entire
hmm
defense.
the whole thing, bro. They locked them in. And it's funny because a lot of people were concerned about their star, linebacker because of the money situation. And with them figuring that out, I was like, oh, okay, well, we gonna see something. We gonna see something. It's cool.
Yeah,
It's gonna
yeah,
be interesting, because right now I'm
very.
trying to think of who else in the NFC is gonna hang with them this year. I don't,
If they don't get it together, and
man.
I'm talking about the Packers organization,
Right.
if they don't get it together, they're going to be setting themselves back at least 3 years.
hmm
At least
hmm
3 years trying to find a good quarterback.
hmm
And they will be setting this team back because they're right there. The only team that was in your way last year was Tampa Bay.
The only team, the only team on that in that side of the conference. And check this out
And
too. Also think about this. Even though Chicago was 8-8 last year, they were not terrible.
they weren't.
The defense kept them in that. That defense was ready, right? Offensively, there was a whole lot going on, switching up quarterbacks, running backs getting hurt in and
I'll,
out.
I'll,
Offensive line was crazy.
I'll
Look,
do you one better. I'll do you
this
one
year,
better. I'm looking at the scores right now. The first
man,
game was week 12. They lost 41 to 25. That was all offense that failed Chicago. Chicago
hmm
has no off. The defense Chicago's never had a bad defense so long as I've been watching them.
no,
I
they've
don't know
been
about
decent
you.
in defense. Yeah, no, they've been good.
So, and that's to our point when we say you got to have an offense to match the team you're playing. It's not about the defense. The defense was there, but at the same time, in week 17, last game of the season, you lose the same team 35-16. That's offense.
Yeah,
You stop them from scoring 40 points, but you can't score 42, 38 because you did everything right in both games.
yeah,
In both games, you held Jones to under 100 yards. And The best receiver that day was Tanyan at 67 for week 12. For week 17, Jones was 42 yards rushing. Valdez Scantling, 87. So you held the top two parts of the offense when you faced the Packers that you needed to hold in check. You did, and you could
Hmm.
not score. Hopefully that changes with Fields being there. Hopefully, let's hope for the best because he is a Buckeye. But that remains to be seen.
And I think Fields puts him in definitely a better position for sure.
Hmm.
And just seeing like the other QBs that he has there to help him out, because you figure it's him, Andy Dalton, and Nick Foles, right? So
If you can't win a game with none of them three, is something wrong
that's
with your
not
team.
right. That's what I'm saying. That's not a bad little lineup though for them. You know what I mean? Like each quarterback has had plenty of starting experience, right? The other two at least in the NFL. They're
Nick
all
Foles
like
won the
10.
Super Bowl.
He won a Super Bowl, right? He carried them to the Super Bowl after Wentz went down, right? And then, Dalton's had some better years. These are all 10-year guys. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? To help a rookie.
Not to mention,
Two 10-year veterans to help a rookie quarterback? Like, what?
not
What other team
you.
has that?
If
What other
you
team
wanted to
has
be,
that?
if you really wanted to be smart, technical about this, he didn't really need them to because his coach is a quarterback. Matt Nagy was a longtime AFL veteran.
Man, listen.
Shout out to Coach Burt.
I feel like for his gameplay, man, his style, what they need out of him, what they can get out of him, and then also what they can give him, it's a decent place to be right now for him. A lot of people weren't really feeling it. I'm like, I don't know what y'all talking about because him being up there, man, it's great for Chicago. It really is. And I
Very
think
good.
that him having all of that experience with your coach and then these other two quarterbacks,
Yeah.
like, how much more help can you get from one team? It's
Not to
crazy.
mention, not to mention, they need some
Oh man,
positivity. Not to mention,
yeah,
they need some positivity after
they got
the reports coming out that they may leave Soldier Field, even though
yeah.
even though the Bears are locked into that lease with Soldier Field until 2033, Arlington Heights in Chicago, or the suburb of Chicago, is
Hmm.
opted to house them, which means build a new stadium, and they are pretty much in the front runners for the bid to that land,
And listen to
and
this,
they are
man. Oh, go ahead, go ahead. You finish,
and they're partners with Churchill Downs, who just happens to own the land. So
man.
you know, it's either you fix up Soldier Field and keep them there downtown, or you let Arlington Heights have them, which is 30 miles away, if I'm not mistaken. But either way it goes, that's got fans a little pissed off. But
For
with
sure.
Fields being there, Dalton being there, Foles being there, your quarterback situation ain't bad at all. And you even if Aaron Rodgers does come back,
Hmm.
you are still primed. Your team has got to improve. There's no way they can get worse. This could be the chance that they need to steal the division.
And you
Looking
know
at it,
what? And this is the team. And this is why I was kind of like so when it came to Minnesota, because I get it. Green Bay was in their way, but Chicago is ready. Chicago's up and coming, man. If they don't do something this year, it's happening next year. The caliber that they have right now. All right, all right, let's just dive into this real quick because this is a great discussion. Defensively, we talked about the fact that they have those pieces, right? I'm gonna throw a few names out there because we talked about this last year, and it's gonna happen again. Let's look at different levels of defense first of all. I'm gonna throw out just random players' names, right? Safety, Tyshawn Gibson Sr.
mm,
You got Desmond Trufant at cornerback. You also have Trey Robertson. Then you have a little bit further two linebackers who we definitely know the names of, Khalil Mack and Roquan Smith. Oh my God, I would love to have both of them right now. Oh my God. Anyway, moving on. Then, sorry, I'm in my feelings a little bit about those two being on the same team. It's not
clearly,
fair.
clearly,
Then, right, you've got on the offensive side of the ball, here's a couple of names for you. We're talking about them trying to improve on offense. Cole Komet is there, right?
I forgot
Now
all
Jimmy,
about him.
now Jimmy Graham's older, but he wasn't getting hit the way that people thought he was going to get hit. Because when he was in Seattle and then he had his little time, coming here, he's
Yeah,
been underutilized, right? I
very
get it.
much
He's an
so.
11-year guy, but he's underutilized. He got something still there if you use him. Okay, if you use him, receiver wise, Allen Robertson, Riley Ridley. Okay, then you also have Marquise Goodwin went there. All right, and on top of that, running back David Montgomery, who proved himself when Tariq Cohen went down. Tariq Cohen's coming back healthy. This offensive line, we'll see what they do. We'll see what they do. But they're looking to become one of those teams that is going to try to run the ball a little bit more. And
Yeah,
when they did run the ball a little bit more, when they had both guys, they were a lot more successful. When it fell to just one dude, you're like, okay, well, I don't know what you want me to do now because we saw that struggle when they played against the Saints. The defense kept them in, but like you said, to your point, the defense will keep you in, but do you have that offense to score those points that you need? And when one of your running backs of that caliber is down, right, and you got these wide receivers out here who are up and coming, and you get some guys in the offseason who weren't there previous year, they'll definitely have an answer this time around. Justin Fields, he already said, like, look, man, I'm trying to be that guy starting week one. Now, of course, Foles is already kind of in position. I could definitely see Fields making that play to kind of take over. I don't know if that's going to happen this year or not. Nagy being who he is, he may say, okay, maybe we do bring you in a little bit slower, have you be that guy next year. I don't know. Anything could happen with them. Anything could happen with them because Fields definitely has the talent. I'm gonna give him his props. He has the talent, right? And to be behind someone like Foles and someone like Dalton and Nagy, it's like the perfect scenario. I feel like Chicago's gonna do more than what people give them credit for. But like you said, it all depends once again on what's happening with Green Bay. But if Green Bay for some reason loses Rodgers this year for some reason, right? I feel like Chicago got a shot.
let's not forget Chicago was a playoff team last year.
Yeah, for
Seven
sure.
out seven out of the 8 losses that they took were from playoff teams or teams that should have been in the playoffs.
Exactly.
And the team that they lost to in overtime just happened to beat them in the playoffs, which was the Saints
Yep.
in the wild card round. So
Yeah.
it's not like like we said, it's not like they were a bad team. They were a playoff
Mm.
team,
They
especially
were.
with the extended wild card, the extended playoffs. They were a playoff team. Wild card still counts as a playoff team. So
Mm.
I'm now that we talked about this and looking at the factors from last year, 7 out of the 8 teams that you lost to were playoff teams or teams above 500 in the Colts. I may have to give the division to Chicago, even with Aaron Rodgers coming back, because there's still a level of uncertainty there
Yep.
that we have not seen or heard about because they probably want to keep it under wraps outside of Aaron Rodgers.
Hmm.
And with Chicago's schedule this season, it's doable.
It is
They
doable.
look I could see 10 wins out of this. That second half of the season is a bit tough.
Hmm.
You got games against Baltimore, Arizona, Green Bay. You got Minnesota twice, and you got to go to Seattle, and then you play New York. But that first half of the season, if they can go 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, if they can go 9-0, I'll say if they can go 6-3 by the time
Hmm.
that bye week comes, they got a good shot at the playoffs, man. It's there. It's literally there.
For sure. And they're going to be a very battle tested team because you figure they got to play, the Bucks. They got to play Cleveland. They got to play Pittsburgh. They got to play the Ravens.
I got to be
It's not
honest
going to
with you.
be easy. It's not going to
Yeah,
be
I was about to
easy.
say that Cleveland game, they ain't got nothing coming. I'm just being honest with. It's too much for the Cleveland game specifically. I honestly believe that game. against Cleveland will tell you where they are
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure,
because that's going to be the game that tells all for your team specifically because you got a lot to deal with. You got to stop Hunt, you got to stop Chubb, Odell, Jarvis, Hollywood, Hooper, maybe Njoku if he's still there. Uh, it's just a lot. Now that defense is bolstered now, that I think that game will tell you what you need to know about your team and your quarterback.
for
If they
sure.
can survive, even if they
Yeah,
lose, if they can survive, meaning keep that game close, that'll show you that they may or may not be ready for the playoffs. But I think that they are.
and you know what, man? I'm glad you brought that up because that was one of the games that I actually circled this year was the Chicago Cleveland game. I see that as a very physical game.
Hmm.
I see that as
Always.
one where it's going to, like you said, test the teams out in terms of different sides of the ball. I feel like Cleveland's defense will have the edge, obviously, but I also feel as though offensively, it's a big test for Chicago, for sure, to see where you're at. And then for Chicago defensively, it's going to be pretty cool to see how that matches up, especially with the fact that Cleveland's going to be looking to, pound the rock a little bit. With it being third game of the season, fresher legs on both sides of the ball, both teams. It's a great early season matchup. It's going to be exciting. I feel
Yeah.
like with this game too, to have to worry about Chubb and worry about Hunt, but then to have those two guys in the middle for Chicago as well, it's going to be a big test for them too because those guys are hawks when it comes to that ball being ran. So it's going
Yeah.
to be really interesting to see how this play out. I'm excited. This is one of the top three games I actually had coming up this year for this season was one of this game right here. I can't wait for it. You know what I'm saying?
Man.
I can't wait for it.
I
I'm
mean,
excited about this
they got an easy one in Cincinnati
one. Hmm.
before they go to Cleveland. So, because and Cincinnati goes to Chicago. So,
Yeah,
I mean, but as much as we clowns, well, I ain't gonna say you, but as much as I clown Cincinnati, Cincinnati's not a bad team. They
they're
hung
not.
with Cleveland with both games. They hung with them, stuck with them as best they could. Baker just pulled rabbits out his ass and won the game both games.
That
So
secondary was really good last year. People forget.
yeah, it was. So that. I think those two games would be the tell all for the start of the season. Now
For
the
sure.
back end of the season, I got the Baltimore game circle. I have the Baltimore game circled and I got the Seattle game circled. Those two will tell you if
Hmm.
they make the playoffs or not. And I'm gonna just leave
Yep.
it at that because this is making me excited to see how this plays out.
I can't wait. I'm right there with you, man. And it's very rare that I get this pumped about the Bears. You know, so I think the last time I was this pumped about the Bears when Urlacher was there. That tells you a lot.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
for me, like
Till he
that
got ran
team,
over by the bus.
oh yeah. but
Oh man.
but yeah, man, seeing them against the Colts, man, that was just pretty cool. I don't know, that was a good, that was awesome, man. I felt like that was the last time I was really excited about that team, and to see them be where they are now, and potentially to have a true, long term franchise QB if they can protect this man says a lot, and he has the size as well too coming in. It's just awesome to see like him be able to do what he can athletically and to be able to, you know, take the brunt of some of that stuff because he didn't get beat up on like Troy Smith and some of the other quarterbacks did previously at OSU. He actually had the protection that he needed to have. Yeah, he took that one hit in the game, which sucked to see that, right?
Man.
But it just tells you what his mental toughness is there. We don't talk a
Yeah.
lot about mental toughness. Justin Fields has a lot of mental toughness that you're going to need at this level. It's going to be awesome, man. It's going to be awesome, bro. I'm excited for him. I really am.
Yeah.
Like shout out to him seriously.
Yeah. Very much so. I'm excited. Um, while we got a free moment, we're gonna take a look and some Euro scores, some soccer scores actually, because the Olympics are kicking up, as we all know, and
Hmm.
everybody's trying to make that cut for the Olympics. So
True.
where are we at? Belgium defeats Portugal 1-0 earlier today, and final time and tied up in the Copa America. Brazil and Ecuador tie, and
Hmm.
Peru Peru takes out Venezuela nothing 1-0. I don't know. I, maybe it's just me. Maybe just maybe it's just me. I'm not as excited uh, for this Olympic soccer as I was past years.
Hmm.
Maybe it's just the fact that some of our favorite players aren't there anymore. Like I know Ronaldo's still playing, but I just don't feel the excitement. Like I, I'm really I think it's more of what is Team USA gonna do? I think that's what it
Man,
is. I really think that's what it is. Because let's keep in mind, this is if I'm not mistaken, this is the youngest US men's team that's gonna be in the Olympics.
true.
And there's no veteran on. There's no veteran leadership, but they have pushed through. And I don't know. I'm wondering if it will translate into making it out of group stage play in the Olympics.
I think that's the biggest question for a lot of this, man. And I think also, like you said, there's just certain players who just aren't there anymore, so it's not the same. And then, of course, you got some up and coming guys or guys who have been around for a little bit that got their little off field stuff happening. So, prime example, Neymar. Um, there's not a lot of good news about him right now. I know that they ended up getting that tie with Ecuador, and ended up winning Group B, but he was on the bench when that happened. And then also Nike's kind of like iffy about him right now. They split with him among all the, you know, sexual assault allegations and stuff like that.
Yeah,
It's just hard to
yeah.
see that because you're like, dang man, like, because I was trying to figure out another player that I could like follow or that I could watch who's a little bit younger. I mean, he getting up there, he like 29, but he was like, for this could be like his last Olympic run.
Yeah,
So I was like,
yeah.
who can I get behind, man? Because yeah, Ronaldo and Messi, I mean, yeah, they there, but like,
They getting up
respect
there
that,
too.
and they getting up there too. So what happens in the next like 3, 4 years, man? When those guys choose to do something different, like who's left over, man? I really have to do my research because, like you said, to your point, um, it's just not looking that great for the men's soccer team for the U.S. I know for a little bit of time when I was following them before, Dempsey was one of the guys I was following. Um, but outside of that, it's just not the same because when they had him and Landon Donovan, that was
That
exciting.
was
And of course, Tim
yeah,
Howard,
because
it was just
Donovan was there. Like Donovan had been through the bad teams,
yep,
and been through the teams that you look good on paper, but when you get into the games, you get beat on by Chile and Mexico, which aren't bad teams.
mhm,
It's
nope,
just it's just I don't remember the last time I was excited for the U.S. men's team. I'm excited for them, but I'm still up here. I'm like, I hope y'all don't blow this.
right, exactly. And I think that's really what it boils down to, man. Because for me, just looking at this roster, I don't know, man. It's not a whole lot that I am excited about. I don't really know most of these guys. Like I'm not really familiar with any of them. Uh, like I said, Clem Dempsey was the last one that I was watching from this team, man. Um, so I gotta just do my research and kind of see what it is. I mean, the women are
All
ready
right,
to
look,
repeat. but
Yeah, they are, but we talk about the
it's
men's
just
side.
yeah, men's side
Like,
is like
like, let's call it what it is. We have never show you how bad it is for us. And I'm not saying this can't change, but right now
mhm,
we've never won a World Cup in the men's side. Never. Since 1930, which was when the World Cup came into existence, we have never won a World Cup. Uh, we've never really had a good showing. We've never placed second or third. Actually, I take that
mhm.
back. We placed third in the opening World Cup, which was 1930. That was it. I mean, at some point you gotta wonder, can we get past that as a team?
True. Because they had a decent run. When was that? I want to say 6, 7 years ago. Um, they had a real tough division they were playing in. I think like Nigeria was a part of it, and they somehow had to try to get past like Germany, and it was just a lot going on. And there was some exciting matches at that time, but that's when we knew like, okay, this was Donovan's last appearance, right? We knew that was
Yeah,
happening, and we knew Dempsey was on his way out. Um, and then Howard had made an appearance to come back one last time. You know what I mean? Like it was really exciting for that. But outside of that, man, like you said, there hasn't been a World Cup. They haven't really been that close or whatever since his inauguration. It
haven't been that close to the Olympics either.
yeah, it just ain't looking good, man. You know, so I'm not excited about it at all. I think this is one of the ones that I won't really tune into. I
Oh,
mean, I
I'm
know I have
tuning
certain
in.
sports.
I'm tuning in. I'm hoping I'm wrong. Is what my thing is.
Yeah, yeah, I get you on that. So,
Um, on top, I guess we'll end it on that note. But for those watching at home, and we will be putting this on our website and our fan page. We'll probably put it on our fan page instead of our website. But it's trivia time, and we're going to leave this to college football. More specifically, these are going to be trivia about Ohio State and Ohio State or things that have to do or are related to Ohio State. So, that being said, first trivia question is what is Ohio State's record against Notre Dame?
ooh,
Yeah, I know this. I'm pretty sure if you thought about it long enough, you would know this. But I want the people who at home who are going to be viewing this and checking out our fan page to chime in. I know somebody's going to Google it, which is why I came up with more than one trivia question. So that's the first one. What is Ohio State's record versus Notre Dame?
mhm.
And this is in football, people. This is strictly football, college football, Ohio State football. So Ohio State's record versus Notre Dame is the first one. Second question. Name four, one, two, three, four, former Ohio State players that are now coaches. It doesn't matter what level they're coaching, but name four. You have to name all four, and all four have to be Ohio State players. So
Hmm.
first question, Ohio State's record versus Notre Dame. Second question, what is name four Ohio State players that are now coaches? The third question, and I'm gonna tell you why this is tied in, Ronnie, because I know you're gonna ask.
Okay.
In the movie The Program, what is ESU's final regular season record at the end of the movie? Yeah, it's a reason I put this one in here. That's the
Now I got my
third one.
brain turning.
Oh
Oh
yeah,
man.
I know the answer to this one too because I actually paid attention to the movie. I had to go back and watch it like five different times, but I got the answer. So first question right so far, Ohio State's record versus Notre Dame. Four Ohio State players that are now coaches. What is ESU's final record at the end of the season in the movie The Program? And the last question, what is the correlation between Alvin Mack, the linebacker at ESU, and Wyatt Davis, lineman from Ohio State?
Hmm.
Yeah. Now,
Hmm.
the trick to this is here's the kicker. The trick to this is if you get all four right, you will be a guest on our show for the Great Debate episode. So if anybody can get these right, you're welcome to chime in on our post because I'm going to post this after the show's over. So if you chime in and get all four right, you have to get all four right. You will be a guest on our show for the Great Debate episode. If all four are wrong, or if you only get three right, gotta cut you out. So you got to get all four right. And I already know which one. I already know which questions they're gonna Google, so I'm not even worried about that. So
Man.
I'm gonna repeat. I'm gonna repeat it one more time. What is Ohio State's record? What is Ohio State's record versus Notre Dame?
Mhm.
Four Ohio State coaches that are players. Well, four Ohio State players that are coaches, rather. Excuse me. What is the correlation between Alvin Mack and Wyatt Davis and ESU's final record at the end of the season? If you get all four right, you will be a guest on our show. We only giving out two spots. So if you get all four right, for this one, you earn a spot. I'll post another trivia time later in the week before the holiday is over. So whoever gets that one right, you get that final spot. So we're only giving away two spots for the Great Debate episode. Good luck. Good luck.
Man.
I already,
Wait, man.
but see, and you know what? I knew those were good questions because I know it's some Ohio State fans out there. I know it's some people that like sports movies, so I thought I'd throw them in. But I knew that the ESU thing was going to be a good one because a lot of people don't know that answer.
I know I'm sitting here now, like I
Yeah.
need to figure it out too. Shoot, I'll be
Oh yeah,
honest.
man. Well, you know I already got you, man. I got you after the show, but everybody else, yeah, y'all got to look these up. Y'all got to come off the top of the dome because I know if you Googled it, I'll know. At least two out of those four questions, I'll know if you Googled or not.
Yeah, I
All
can't
right.
do this, bro. Man.
All right. So with that being said, that will end this week's episode. We are off for the holiday, so we wish everyone a early, safe, and happy Fourth of July. Don't forget to like and follow us on Facebook, Instagram. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We could use them views and them subscribes, man. We could use them.
Mhm.
Don't be
Help a
don't
brother
it, don't
out.
it don't cost nothing either. Don't cost Nathan. Just a click of
Free.
the button. Free 99. How many times you get that? You don't get hit with no hidden charges like you do on your cell phone for buying them little
Nope.
crappy games. None of that.
Nope.
So, help us out, support us. Don't forget to check out our posts on our website, 216 Sports Network at blogspot.com. We've been posting some very good stuff, especially about the local people who've made splashes in the sports world. We only going up from here. All right. For 4th and 15, I'm Mel. That's Smooth. Peace.
Peace.